Nothing will crush a real estate investor's spirit like landlord stress. The difference between being successful and miserable in managing properties is education. Welcome to Landlord University, where landlords learn. Landlord University is recorded from inside the RentPrep office, where Stephen White and Jeff Pearson share the lessons learned from working with some of the most successful landlords.
Welcome to Landlord University Night School. I'm Jeff Pearson. I'm here with my co-host, Stephen White. Hello, Stephen. How are you doing this evening?
Pretty good, Jeff. Came across a recent article about a website that exists out there that does background checks, and I get a lot of questions from landlords, colleagues, friends, a lot of people that'll say stuff like, does websites like benverified.com, are they, do they hurt you as far as competition? Or InstantCheckMate was specifically the website that I had read an article about. These websites are out there that are doing the background checks. If you ever look up anybody's phone number or you type a name into Google, you'll almost every time get directed to one of these sites that give you the opportunity to run a background check and let you know, are you looking for, Jeff Pearson? Here's his, and they give you part of his address or something. Click here to buy the rest of it. Okay, so the reason that these type of sites are not ever good for tenant screening, or I'll even lump in employment screening for that matter, it's because these websites are not FCRA compliant. And FCRA is something that we've talked about a couple of times on the podcast. Just to refresh everybody's memory, FCRA stands for Fair Credit Reporting Act, and it's the regulation, the rules that govern landlords and employers on what information they can use when making a decision to either rent to somebody or to hire somebody. And certain information is allowable, and certain information is not. And we've talked about that a couple of times too, like how a bankruptcy is only good or available to use against somebody for 10 years, or a judgment is good for 7 years, that type of a thing. Well, the websites like BenVerified or InstantCheckMate, they're good for searching a new neighbor, right? I guess if you want to look up if you want to do something on the sly or something like that. But if you're doing it for business purposes, so for tenancy, employment, it has to be an FCRA, approved site. Something that understands the rules of what the FCRA are and will give the information based on that. And so these sites are not set up that way at all. These are just instant database sites. The information is very rarely correct or accurate. A lot of times it's the way that we see information in databases as a screening company. A lot of times the stuff that we see is not correct. It takes that human being who knows the rules, knows the laws, knows the FCRA, understands it, especially how it relates to a landlord or to an employer, to interpret that data and say, this is usable or this is junk, this is nothing, I don't know what this is. We're going to get this out of here, and the landlord's never going to see it. To make sure that information that you're using is good, because I'll paint the worst case scenario. If you go on a site like BenVerified and you're searching somebody who has a common name, and you end up pulling a criminal record on the guy, and you deny him, now you just unlawfully denied that applicant because he doesn't have a criminal record. And these sites offer you no protection, because if you look at their fine print, you won't see it anywhere in the big print, but if you look at their fine print, it says right on there, use this for tenant screening purposes or employment screening purposes. I think that it should be something way more, noticeable and front and center, because I think a lot of the usage that these sites do get are people who are doing it for screening tenants. I certainly talked to a number of landlords who've used these type of sites. So I don't think these websites are doing a good enough job of putting it front and center and saying, hey, don't use us for this. But of course, they don't want to chase business away either.
One of the things that we have always done here on Landlord University, and I know it's a part of the way you run your business at RentPrep, we're supportive of other businesses, even competitors. We talked about SmartMove, which is a competitor to RentPrep, and that was not a conversation of you shouldn't use SmartMove, you should use RentPrep. That was a conversation of the pros and cons of that business, and not that business compared to RentPrep. But when you're talking about this business, you're pretty adamant. And as you said, it's clear on their website if you go all the way down to the little small fine print and you zoom in so you can actually read it. But this is something that is for the protection of landlords and businesses. These businesses are not the proper businesses to use to get those types of background checks. And if you don't want to use RentPrep, fine. But these are not the right ones to use. Look at SmartMove, do the work yourself. But these businesses are not going to provide you with the information that you need, and they're not going to protect you legally in making the decisions and determinations that you're trying to make. And like I say, as a podcast, as Landlord University, our goal is to provide as much good information to our listeners as possible and let them make the appropriate decisions. And there aren't too many times that we say, "Oh, you shouldn't use that company." We're supportive of the industry and the businesses in the industry that are reputable and are providing value to the industry. And there's no question, these are not the right businesses for landlords to be using.
Right, not the right tools. And I think a lot of times landlords are almost surprised if they call in, because all the screeners are trained to understand what we can do and how that fits into our perfect landlord avatar. We've talked a lot of times about our perfect tenant avatars as a landlord, trying to find what the perfect tenant looks like to you. Well, know what their perfect customer looks like. And if we run across a landlord that doesn't fit within our profile, we have no problem saying, "Listen, I don't know if RentPrep is right for you. I don't know if this is the right thing for you." So you're right. I have no qualms about that. There's plenty of room out there. This is a huge enough industry that everybody can do this. Well, not everybody can do this, but the people that are out there doing it can do it and do it successfully if they're doing it right.
Yes.
But you're right. Some things are not supposed to be used for that. This is a great example. And there's not very many situations like this in the landlord situation who's doing screening, because the landlords can look at Facebook and Twitter and Google and all these types of things that you would think would be sort of gray area. Well, they're not. Those they can look at. But it's very clear that when you're talking about public records, data and information like criminal records and eviction records and court records, you have to use a trusted source, specifically permissible for your industry and your business. So these types of sites are not at all. And same thing with, I'll just throw it out there also, freecreditreport.com, any of those types of things. I've had plenty of landlords. It never shocks me. Probably once a month we've got a landlord that says, I started to run my tenants report on freecreditreport.com, and I reached to a certain point, and then I had to stop because I didn't know the answers to the questions. Well, those sites are intended for the user, for the consumer to use, not for you to log in posing as them and running a free credit report.
Which I believe is illegal.
Yeah, totally illegal, for sure. But again, I think that and I don't know if a lot of landlords are doing this purposely, but again, we know ignorance is always not an excusable, reason to break the law. But I don't think the landlords always have ill intentions. I think that it's just misunderstanding. And like I said, I don't think that these websites do a very good job of putting that disclosure front and center. So just be very aware. Anytime that you're using a website or you're using something, especially for background checks or for, when it comes down to something as important as tenancy or employment, something that you can get sued for, by an angry person who's been denied unlawfully. Trust me, these lawsuits happen every single day, everywhere. You take the extra step, make sure that what you're using is compliant and it's legal and it's allowable. Give them a call if you have to. Most reputable websites will have a phone number. Reputable companies will have a phone number. You can call and actually speak to somebody and ask them directly. I'm a landlord. I'm looking to screen tenants. Can I use your website? They should tell you the truth. I would imagine if you called Ben Verified, if they do have a number, they would tell you no, you can't.
And as you said, FCRA is that a certification?
No, well, you can be FCRA certified. RentPrep certainly is, but FCRA is the acronym for Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is a specific act that was put in place to protect individual consumers and their information and how it was used against them. So, again, that set of regulations sets the standard for how long we can use a criminal record against somebody. Same premises as on your credit report. You're not going to see anything on your credit report, from a late payment 12 years ago, because things age out. And that standard of when things should age out is set by the FCRA. So the FCRA dictates what's usable, what's not, how long is something good for, how long is this information usable for, and when is it no longer valid? When should you not look at that and give this person a second chance? Just same terms as credit.
Does that also dictate, like if somebody gets refused for a credit report, then the company has to send them a letter saying this is why you were refused, and then showing them how they can get their own credit report?
Yeah, you nailed it. It's called an adverse action letter. And adverse action is part of the FCRA that states if you deny somebody, you have to give them the ability to view the report, see why they were denied, and give them the ability to dispute it. There's a possibility that the information's wrong. We had a guy just today who had a pretty sizable judgment. He said, listen, I paid this judgment last week. I've got proof of it. And he faxed over the proof. We were able to get the data in the databases fixed, because it's no good just to fix it on our report. We want to make sure it's fixed within that database that other companies are using as well.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense for RentPrep to fix their report when you should fix the source of the issue, and then every report thereon after, no matter what company it is getting the correct data. So this person would have never known had the landlord not sent the letter and said, here's your opportunity if you want a free copy of your report. And that's part of our responsibility as a credit reporting agency, basically, to provide them with a consumer copy for free and say, here is exactly what was ran. Here's what the landlord saw. If you have any questions, and this is the other important part too, if you have any questions, don't call the landlord, call us. Because the landlord does not want to be in that situation anymore.
No.
They've got to move on and try, start finding that better tenant, the better fit. So they're in contact with us, and the CRAs, the consumer reporting agencies like RentPrep, are then working directly with the consumers. And that's part of the rules that we have to follow under the FCRA, is making sure that all the information is accurate. And if it's not, we've got to work with them to make sure that it is. I mean, we're in the information age, so not everything is always perfect. There's a lot of data out there, and it definitely gets mixed up, and courts make mistakes every day. So you got to give these people a reasonable avenue to try and fix certain things, and this is the way to fix it. Kind of this transparency of here's what was ran, you could see it. If you have issues, get in touch with them, and you can fix those issues. Sites like Been Verified, they don't offer any kind of adverse action because it's not intended for that. So you'll never hear any language in there about adverse action or anything like that. So it's just not the compliant way for a landlord to be looking up information.
That's really good information. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. I look forward to talking with you again tomorrow evening.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for listening to Landlord University. And remember to visit rentprep.com/landlordu to see show notes and access free resources like forms and guides. And be sure to check out Jeff Pearson hosting his own hit podcast at thementorimpact.com.